There we go. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. Let's see. Are we good? Oh, we've got like one more minute. I'll give it one more second. But still, thank you for being here tonight. I hope everybody is dry and warm.
It was a wet one today.
It was, yes. Time to take down those Halloween decorations because they're getting blown all over the place.
Cody, who were you waiting for to come today? Who were you expecting?
Oh, me, it's me. I'm expecting Mark Dane. He's going to talk very briefly about a project that he has in the works.
Right, Mark Dane with Mark Dane Planning, but I thought we were waiting for a deputy also.
Yeah, Augusto Orozco, and I'm not seeing him on here.
Yeah.
So he might be on a call because he's also not answering. So I think he's probably on a call.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just briefly walk through this virtual meeting info and etiquette. We're getting pretty used to this at this point, but not everybody is. And so be patient with any issues that come up. Please, everybody that is not a panelist, and you will know if you're a panelist, is automatically muted and video turned off. If you wanted to interact, feel free to use the raise hand feature or type something into the chat. We'll be looking at that periodically. We'll pause for questions. Like I said, you can use the raise hand feature. I don't see anybody using the call in from a phone, so we don't have to worry about that. And this video, this presentation will be recorded. So with that, I will turn it over to CPO6 Chair Becky.
Great. Thanks again, everyone, for being here. We're going to start off with, for those who don't know, I'm Becky Morinishi, and I'm the chair, and we've got Ken here, and he is vice chair of CPO6. And tonight we're going to be having a presentation by Cody Harris from the Washington County Sheriff's Office talking about Neighborhood Watch and Business Watch. And we're also expecting Mark Dane to talk a little bit about a project that he is working on in our area. But we're going to start off with our community briefings. Let's see, Cody, do you want me to go ahead and go with THPRD first? Okay, great. So Tim, if you're ready, you can go ahead.
I will, thank you. Let's see. Okay.
And
Well,
Marcus,
everyone,
are you able to stop sharing? And then Tim, yeah, there we go. Great. Thank you.
I'm up.
You're good.
Thank you. Well, everyone, thank you for having me. I'm Tim Bonin, Senior Park Planner and Design Development, and I will go through the announcements for the month of November. THPRD is hiring. We have lots of part-time and seasonal opportunities available to support fall programming, so please visit our website for more information. THPRD honored at the Oregon Recreation and Park Association Conference. THPRD was honored with 2 statewide awards last month. At ORPA's conference, the district was recognized with an annual planning award for our new park naming process, as well as the design and construction award for small projects, which is the new trail that we completed in the Fano Creek Greenway. Senior Giving Campaign. Tualatin Hills Park Foundation is hosting a senior giving campaign. Community members are asked to consider making a donation for a monthly pass to help seniors enjoy the STIR Center offerings. If you'd like to make a donation, you can visit the foundation's website at www.thpf.org. And our popular Schiffler Dog Park Run has been expanded. We have now added a fenced area for smaller dogs to be able to roam free with their small companions. Winter break camps. If you need help with your childcare this coming winter break, we have camp spaces available. We are now looking to add a new sports court at Mountain View Champions Park. THPRD is planning a new multi-purpose sports court at the site, and we are seeking your community input on the project. There is a virtual community meeting on November 18th and a short online survey available through December 5th. Veterans Day. The annual Veterans Day celebration presented by Beaverton's Post 124 American Legion at Veterans Memorial Park has been postponed this year. However, staff are coordinating with the Nike Military Veterans Network for a small gathering of servicemen and women for a park cleanup. The district will line the park with American flags for Veterans Day on Thursday, November 11th. Winter registration, save the date. Winter registration will be Saturday, December 4th for in-district patrons. And then budget committee. Applications are being accepted now through November 8th for the district's budget committee. You can apply on our website. As far as events, on Saturday the 6th, we have Dia de los Muertos Festival at Garden Home Rec Center at 2 p.m. Please join us, City of Beaverton, and Rise in this space of ceremony, dance, and revolution in celebration of the Day of the Dead. It is a time to remember our loved ones while enjoying food, dance, traditions, and connections with the community. And this event is free. And then on Wednesday, the 10th, we have a virtual regular meeting of the Board of Directors at 7 p.m. And the following Wednesday, on the 17th, we have a virtual Park and Facility Advisory Committee meeting at 6 p.m., followed by the Nature and Trails Advisory Committee meeting at 6:30 p.m. As always, we have one-day volunteer events for individuals and families that can be found on our website. And that's the news for the district. Does anybody have any questions for me? Let me see, when can chips be added to HMT Trail northeast of softball field 2? Okay, I will take a look at that for you. Thank you, Ronald. What I do is I take these down, I copy them into a Word doc, and I will inform our maintenance crew of that. Are there any other questions for me? Aloha Swim Center will not be open this year. I think we're looking more toward maybe spring at the earliest. I think for the other facilities that are not open, but Beaverton Swim is open right now, and we hope to have Conestoga Rec and Aquatic Center open again come January, late January. And of course, HMT, the main complex, has the 50-meter.
Yeah, Leslie has her hand up. Leslie, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Oh, she's about, will it be open? We plan to open it. Yes. We plan on opening that one, also Harmon in the near future. Just we need more participation available. So we're looking actually to do a little bit more marketing this spring as well, or even maybe, I don't know whether it's this fall or early spring, but to let people know about all the opportunities and services and events and things that are provided throughout the district. So folks will come to our facilities.
All right, any other questions for Tim? All right, thank you. Lots of exciting stuff coming up. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
that, Tim. Thanks.
All right, thanks everybody.
All right, so Cody, do you want to go ahead and get started on your main presentation?
Yeah, I can do that for sure.
Okay, great. So we'll switch things around a little bit. You can go right ahead.
Absolutely. Well, hello, everybody. For those of you who have not been able to meet before, my name is Cody Harris. I live in Aloha also. I am not a deputy. I'm a community education and outreach specialist. So my job is to do community safety presentations with the Washington County Sheriff's Office. So as many of you know, living in a more urbanized area, as it seems to be all the time here in Aloha, we do have lots of those more urban issues that are starting to show up, which is things like car prowls and other issues along those lines. So I'm here just to kind of give you guys a broad overview of some of the best practices we like to throw out there for all of you and for ourselves too. And And so I just want to get my screen share set up here. 1 second. And so what I'm presenting tonight, I'm going to go over really quickly because I really would like to have as much time for questions. And if you guys do have questions in between, let me know. Or Becky, feel free to interject while I'm going through the presentation. I'm happy to also pause and answer if it's specific on the topic we're on. Let me get this started. Marcus just showed me a trick, so I'm going to see if I can figure out where that was. Did you see where it was in the thing? I guess I'll go with the regular way. All right, so for all of you that are in Aloha, for the most part, you're going to be in what's called the Enhanced Sheriff Patrol District. This is also an area that is considered kind of an urban zone. So the Enhanced Sheriff Patrol District is a levy-approved budgetary item that allows us to have enough deputies per 1,000 people or per 2,000 people. And so this is coming up again in the winter. So I'll put some information in the chat later to help you guys understand what that means, but it helps us to keep our call time response for the calls in those areas at more of a city level than in an urban or in a rural area. So it allows that response to investigations like homicides, assaults, burglary, domestic crimes against children, elder abuse, those property crimes, fraud, training for crisis intervention, our multi-agency teams that we work with, adaptive policing response, things like MHRT can be a part of the service area because of these outreach programs that we do here, like my job, and traffic enforcement. I'm going to close my chat so I can see some stuff. So currently we're at about 236 employees total, and of those 290 are police certified. So of those are going to be throughout the year, being some of them are dual certified, which means they are also in the jail and certified to be on patrol, because those are two very different worlds and they require two different certifications. So that's just a little overview here on the Sheriff's Office for you guys who may not be as familiar. I'm going to kind of skip to this. So what neighborhood watch? The main thing that we like to talk about now about neighborhood watch is it used to be this old thought that crime prevention builds community, makes community safer. But really we're looking at it in this approach that community coming together, communicating, talking, building that communication is what really prevents the crimes that are happening. That is things like vandalism, burglaries, vehicle break-in, drug dealing, gang involvement. All of these things are preventable by communicating in your neighborhood. Establishing that neighborhood watch creates a leadership team within the group, forms a communication network, and recognizing and supporting what is maybe not necessarily suspicious, but concerning behaviors is something else that we like to talk about. Not just something that's suspicious. If it's something of concern and you're worried about somebody's well-being, that's also something to look out for. Staying connected to each other, like our neighborhood that I live in there in Aloha has a Facebook page that we use to communicate to each other. And sometimes you're right, it may just be about the coyotes roaming through the neighborhood that we all have seen and heard about. But other times it could be issues like a car brawl that we recently actually, I know just this last week, we did because of some teamwork with some neighbors, helped with the sheriff's office and were able to get a car prowler arrested in action. And that was due to the work together as a community and neighborhood and with the sheriff's office communicating directly. So staying connected, knowing all those things, knowing what is normal in your neighborhood and what is not normal in your neighborhood do help us to keep our eyes out for each other and keep each other safe. Knowing if there are people, when you start a neighborhood watch, if they don't want to be involved, some people don't have the capacity, and that's okay too. This is not about going out and doing night prowls or making judgment calls on people. This is all about just keeping an eye out to keep each other safe. This is also a great tool and a foundation that a lot of neighborhoods use for their emergency planning. One of the things that we saw come out of the fires was that a lot of neighborhoods realized they had elderly neighbors that didn't drive, or neighbors that weren't able to be able to facilitate driving out because of the fires. They now have established plans for their neighbors that don't drive in order to help them if there was an emergency. Or they now know, like when the heat was so hot or the weather is super cold, to check on them. So this is another great tool just for helping each other out, not just necessarily about crime prevention. So usually a block captain would then figure out the neighborhood, map it out, who's involved. You can also do things like tool shares. There's so many endless ideas that this can help with a neighborhood developing. This is actually the current CPO6 crime map, the calls for service that have come into the area over the last month. I'll leave this up for a second. We can talk about it. Like I was saying, there has been actually some great recovery action that has been happening because of communication. You see a lot more fraud calls on here. It's not that I think that more fraud is necessarily happening. It's just that more people are getting aware that it's worth it to call it in and report it. If you've had fraudulent activity, whether it's a romance scam, reporting in just a non-emergency about scams that have come across, there's ways to report on your computer. There's ways to report mail fraud. If your mailbox has been broken into, please definitely report it. Those are all things that really help. The one thing I do see, and I'm unfortunately don't have a deputy on with us tonight to maybe touch on this a little bit more, it does look like there has been a few more car thefts that have showed up since the last time you guys looked at this map. So that's something to be aware of and be looking at and be concerned about. What we're more aware of right at the moment, though, is those catalytic converter thefts continue to happen. So right now there are ways, and there is laws coming into place to hopefully help mitigate this. Our deputies, they know that if somebody has multiple catalytic converters and they are not a metals dealer, then this is obviously something flagged for them. So we know that that's something that they can do, the deputies can do to help prevent this. But in January, there's also a law that goes into effect about the sale of illegal, those metals that they bring in from the catalytic converters. So we hope that this will help start to diminish this demand that they're seeing on the market. One of the ways that we can help prevent that as community members from our own vehicles, Priuses still seem to be the most highly hit vehicle. But we're also seeing it happen to larger trucks, larger vehicles. We know that several have been hit recently. And so well-lit areas, cameras definitely do help because they may catch that getaway car. They may catch just a close enough. I know that the car prowler we caught the other day, they just got close enough to a ring camera that somebody was able to identify them flat out. So it's just one of those things that those things do definitely help. Remember that reporting on Nextdoor or reporting on any social media, we can't see it. So definitely making sure to report it into non-emergency is a big help. With that, we do also have our bait car and our bait package programs. If you're interested in being in the bait package program, definitely let us know. We have gotten national recognition for working with the United States Postal Service on this bait package situation. So if you're interested in it, there's some detectives can get in contact with you. You can reach out to me. I'll put my contact in the chat when I'm done. But it is really an amazing program that has been highly successful at capturing basically what we call porch pirates, right? There is some tips on this. We are heading into holiday season where we always see this ramp up. We've seen a ramp up through COVID because a lot more people have been ordering at home. But always through holiday season, we see an increase in these types of what they call crimes of opportunity. So just like the car prowls, and just like this, there's ways to empower ourselves to help kind of protect and prevent. It's never your fault if this happens to you. This is something that is a crime of opportunity, and just trying to find ways to limit these opportunities. So if you know you're going to have specific deliveries, tracking that delivery, maybe having a neighbor pick it up if you're not home, or having it delivered to an Amazon locker or UPS locker or something along those lines. If you know you're consistently getting packages, we used to suggest sending them to the office, but many of us are not at the office anymore. So that's definitely something to consider though, and and think about. The bait car is another one too. If people are calling in and letting us know about car prowls or car break-ins, and we know that there's a hot spot or hot area, that bait car or bait trailer that we have too has been highly successful, because the moment that they take those items out of the car, or they try to take the car or trailer, it's tracked. And so there's no getting away from it at that point in time. So it's one of those things that just helps us really, find ways to really get our eye on what's happening when we can't be everywhere at once. And that's where the community comes in to help make the community safer. So what is suspicious? This is one of the things that I find is really hard for all of us to struggle with. I've only been with the sheriff's office for 2 years. I've done community work for over a decade. And before that, I spent 15 years in the corporate world, 7 of which were in high-end residential communities. So I worked a lot with apartments. And so I've worked in a lot of these different environments. And when I started to learn about this in my current role, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so one of those things that is so different in every neighborhood. Like in apartment buildings, it can be different in every apartment. So knowing what is suspicious or what is concerning in your neighborhood, you may see somebody that is concerning to you that you don't think is necessarily suspicious or going to be harmful, but maybe needs help. So that's where, maybe calling non-emergency dispatch is going to be a better option to just, say, hey, I think this person needs assistance. Either medical response will come out, a mental health worker, our MHRT team, or, just a regular deputy to see if that person needs help. But it may be something that you think seems really mundane, like, I've never seen that car in my elderly neighbor's driveway ever. And I'm pretty sure that she's at her daughter's house this week. Maybe I'll just call it in. And you think, no big deal. This actually happened in Aloha about 5 years ago, and it was the 7-Eleven was being robbed, and that was the getaway car. It could seem mundane, it might not be mundane. So it's one of those things where it's okay to assess that. I like the example. We did have drug dealers in our neighborhood before I worked at the sheriff's office. So this is about 8 years ago. And it took us about 6 months of calling, because prioritizing of calls is something else to keep in mind too. A traffic accident, a domestic violence issue, any theft that's happening in action is going to take priority over a call that has no confirmable medical or crisis moment happening. So 3 of us neighbors that could see this green space where we knew that these cars were parking, we called every time we saw what we thought was a drug deal happening. It took 6 months before the deputies were able to get proof. They were able to capture him in the act and get enough evidence in order to actually arrest somebody. That's great. We just worked in partnership. They kept explaining that to us. We understood that, worked through it. 2 years later, we were like, oh, I think it's happening again. People are walking up to the same spot on their phones, standing there. And we're like, all right, I guess we're going to start calling. Our neighbors start talking to each other. You know what? We called it in thinking it looked suspicious because it looked exactly the same as before. But no harm. It was a Pokemon stop now. So it's one of those things where, but it looked the same to us, and it looked suspicious, and it looked odd, and it was new, and it was always different people. So it seemed really like the same thing was happening all over again. No harm. It was the same situation, or not the same situation at all. Just one other example before I move on with this is, we hear people often, we're like, if somebody's running through your backyard, that is a private space. That is definitely not something, it's usually something that is questionable, definitely something to report. We have a colleague that always talks about how her husband washes his car, the car after the sun goes down so he doesn't get water spots. And that's totally a normal practice that you see people do. But if somebody didn't know that right now, especially with all these catalytic converters, she's like, I wouldn't be surprised if people started calling in if they drove by and saw my husband outside under the car, not knowing it was my husband, working around a car at 11 o'clock at night. And that's just normal for them, and their neighbors know that. But would that be normal in your neighborhood? I wouldn't. If I saw that in my neighborhood, I would be wondering what was happening, so it's always about knowing what your implicit and explicit biases are too, and running it through those filters to know, like, is this really something suspicious or concerning, or am I making that, what kind of judgment am I making? Is it based in the realities of what I know from my neighborhood? And often just keep in mind, it's okay because the deputies will help assess that situation. And it could just be a Pokemon stop, but it also could be something that is, you know, just like that lady with the car in the neighbor's driveway. It ended up being something very serious, and it helped capture a crime in action. I see there's a question here. Oh, the story, thanks. And it's true. So that's where that reporting comes in. 911, if it's obviously a crime in progress, an emergency, there's any type of, actually, like you're watching them break into the mailbox. You see it on your ring and you know it's happening on your ring right now. That's a 911 call. That's not a non-emergency call. There's somebody on your property trying your car door handles. You can call straight in because they are actively trying to break into your vehicle. Non-emergency, if you're unsure, or, you know, we also have an online option for reporting if you don't know who the suspect is. So if you have that video on your Ring camera. Another helpful tip with this is if you do have a neighborhood communication like WhatsApp or, you know, whatever kind of Facebook group or whatever you have that is your communication tool, maybe it's a HOA listserv. If one of you reports it, that still means that everybody else should report it. But the helpful tool with that is when you see that calls for service map, those are individual calls that have come in that have different case numbers, different call numbers. But if you know that your whole street got hit by the same people the same night, go ahead and share that case number on your communications page. So then everybody knows to refer it back to the same incident. So we know it's the same incident, and that'll help out too, to show the detectives what is actually going on. So just remember, if you see something, say something. It's really something that helps us know where the hot spots are, where we need to focus and pay attention. If you're unsure, you can always call me. That's what I'm here for. I can be a liaison. One of the things I often hear from people too is that they're concerned, well, I did call and it was like 1 in the morning and nobody called me back. So what happened? I'm like, that deputy is not going to call you at 3 in the morning and wake you up a second time when they know your sleep's already probably been disturbed, unless you work nights. But you can always request that the deputy does return your call when you're talking to dispatch, or you can call me the next day and I'm happy to follow up and tell you what I can. Your role does impact your neighborhood. You get to be those eyes where we can't be. You know, we are very lucky to have our deputies be out and about. If there's an area of concern, call in, tell me, I'll report it in and add extra patrols to your neighborhood to make sure that they're aware of a situation. But having those good numbers like our ESPD areas allows us to have those quickest possible response times. And having your eyes and your understanding and knowing of what your neighborhood and how your neighborhood functions will help them respond as well. So that's pretty much it. This is our, you know, if you guys don't know, do your best, do the right things, treat others the way you want to be treated is kind of what we all live by here. And that's what I have for you guys. So I'm gonna stop sharing so I can see y'all. Thank you, Becky. Does anybody have any questions for me or concerns or anything I can take back? Yes, I will put my information in the chat for sure.
Yeah,
You know, I think, okay.
I was just gonna say, somebody's asking for your information. I think Becky's
Yes.
gonna put it in there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, if you have questions, you can absolutely call me. I usually Monday through Thursdays are the easiest to catch me. But absolutely, and I'll put that in the chat.
So that was great, Cody. I just was gonna ask a couple of, you may not know these off the top of your head. You know, there's just been a lot of, how is the head count and morale going as far as the sheriff department goes? I mean, you look at the city of Portland, they're losing officers like crazy. They want to hire retired officers back. I don't think that's affecting the county sheriff as far as I've heard.
No, we have different, they have a different union, they have different requirements, different, lots of different things. Our board of commissioners is very different. You know, so there's a lot of different layers there that affect it. We also are, just like our fire department was sharing last month with all of us, is that we're also at that point where there's a lot of people aging out that are going to retirement just for their years of service. So there's some of that that's definitely going around. There is always the opportunity to come in and apply. You know, it's interesting. We were just talking about that today too, and if you're not seeing the numbers and the loss like you would anywhere else. What we're mainly seeing is the same kind of COVID shifts that most people are seeing, where you think a lot of people are just moving back to be with family. You know,
That's encouraging to see, to hear.
So Cody, we have one person with a hand raised, and then we have another question in the chat here. The question in the chat is, how do we set up a neighborhood watch program? And then Bill also mentioned something about another theft not mentioned. I'm not really sure. Bill, if you want to elaborate on that, feel free, because I'm not quite sure what that means. And Priscilla, then, go ahead.
Yeah, let me answer Priscilla's really quick. So you start that with me, and I help kind of coach and guide your neighborhood on how to set it up. And that's really what's kind of great about Neighborhood Watch. You could name it whatever you want. You can have it just be your HOA name. You can have it be your neighborhood, whatever you want to name it. It becomes yours. You get to develop it to be what you want it to be and how you want it to fit for your neighborhood. That's what I was saying too. What's so fun about it is that, like, we had one neighborhood during COVID, they did that 9 p.m. routine, which I didn't really talk much about. I put it in the chat. We talk about it every week with you guys, is about those preventative measures. Are the lights turned on at night? Did you put in the bicycles? Did, you know, everything out of the car? Is the garage shut? Is the shed locked? All of those little things, all the bikes out of the yard, are the ways to kind of reduce those crimes of opportunity, because with the I think I lost a couple of slides. That's why I was trying to kind of got stuck there for a second. So those lighting pieces, the making sure that you, like, some people put gravel in front of their windows so they can hear if somebody's walking in front of their windows. Having well-lit spaces is a great way, especially with these catalytic converter and car thefts, to keep those away. So I help teach all those individual, more specific neighborhood watch, like they call it CPTED, which is crime prevention by environmental design. We talk about all of those pieces. We talk about the specifics that are happening in your neighborhood, talking about, you know, is a camera right, all those stuff. So I help guide and do those safety trainings. I can help facilitate other groups to come in and do like emergency preparedness training. I do internet safety trainings. We do elder safe trainings for scams and frauds for elders, and victim services for them. So all these different layers that we can help provide on that community safety training. That's our piece. The rest of it, planning and communicating, setting up your Facebook group chat, or however you wanted to listserv that you communicate with, that's really on your guys' team. And then we send out additional information. And really what's so great is you get to make it what you want. So I was about to say the story really quick, is that one of our neighborhoods during COVID, like during the height of the lockdown last winter, when we were back to that second wave of like nobody was going out, everybody was kind of back in their houses all the time, they would go out. The whole neighborhood had a really bad string of car prowls and car break-ins, and they got together as a neighborhood. They bought cameras, they put up lights, they started coming out every night at 7 o'clock. And they would all come out, and it was like this kind of Tim Burton-y moment where they would come out and they would all wave at each other. They would say hello out in their driveways. They would make sure every light was turned on, the cars were all checked, but they did it as a neighborhood, and they got to connect with distance and do it as a neighborhood. And it was so great. And this neighborhood has actually, by doing those steps, they've made their neighborhood so undesirable, because every criminal that's gone through there now knows they're never going to get a car door open, and a deputy is going to be there before too long, because everybody's going to call in and report it. They also were fortunate enough to have somebody who worked nights from home, and so he would just leave his cameras up the whole night and check on them while he was working. But it was because of this community communication that they were able to actually make it so undesirable just by making sure everything was locked. Most criminals will not try for more than 30 seconds to get in to a building or into a vehicle or anything along those lines. So just that simple thing of making sure the car door is locked and nothing in the car is visible that looks tempting to steal is a huge deterrent.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and let Bill
Yeah.
ask his question here. Oh, Bill's using an older version of Zoom.
Oh,
Bill, I'm going to promote you to a panelist really quick, and then you'll be able to ask your question. So go ahead and accept that, and then you can go ahead.
and then Leslie, the slides are not published, but we are actually in the midst of recreating our entire handbook for Neighborhood Watch. So that handbook will be available hopefully in the next 6 months.
Let's see.
While we're waiting for Bill, how many neighborhood watches are in CPO6 roughly? Is there, you probably don't have a number off the top of your head, but there are quite a few, or?
I want to say there is about 12 off of the top of my head that are somewhat active. Most of those are HOAs that have kind of pre-established, and a lot have kind of faded out during COVID just because a lot of people are not.
Speaking of HOAs, do you have HOA contacts?
Some, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's really how people want to be, you know, how active people want to be in that partnership. But I'm really here as a resource, you know, to answer those. Sorry,
Right.
Bill.
Yeah,
Taking
sorry,
control.
Bill. It's not letting me promote you.
Mhm.
Bill,
Bill, I
are you
think you
able
have,
to?
if it's the same Bill, Bill, I think you have my phone number. So if you want to try to call me tomorrow, I can try to answer that one for you, if that's easier. You can put it back in the chat too.
Don't they have the mute and mic buttons to the lower left of your screen like we do on the current version?
Well, it sometimes if there's an older version of Zoom, it won't allow them to use the mic to talk. I don't know why. I think that is what's going on here. I do have Lydia here, so let's try this with Lydia. There we go.
So much. I don't know if you can see me, probably cannot see me. I appreciate this meeting. I am from Guatemala. I probably don't have a lot of time to talk, but I just wanna encourage you guys to keep working on safety issues. That was the main reason why I end up moving from my country. And I wonder if neighbors wouldn't stand together instead of just being afraid and don't say anything, things wouldn't get that bad, that end up pretty much just got out of control. So, you know, I don't know how you manage graffiti, but I do wanna warn you that I see more graffiti in our neighborhoods. And if you can consider me a time traveler, you can do that, because that's pretty much what I am. When I moved to Oregon, I was 18 years old, and I just love the fact that I could go to the park and feel safe. I can wear shorts and be safe. Something as simple as just wearing shorts to run. That's something that I was not allowed to do in my country because it was unsafe. I was not allowed to do any of those things because it was unsafe. And if we could not have a police that we can trust. Over here, I feel we do have a police that we can trust, and I want to honor, and I want to tell you guys that I respect, you know, I respect the people that protect our neighborhoods. I do feel the need to spread the word to this, because we're still on time. And I know that we all have noticed that things are changing. This is not the same as it was 10 years ago. I have noticed my neighbor had a homeless person coming in the morning, and he didn't know that that was home. The father of the house was at home, and he went and took a shower in their house. So all of these things are concerning. How can I share these with my Spanish speaking community? And also encourage you to keep going. I think that we still have time to slow, to reverse, or even to stop, a problem that can only gonna get bigger and bigger and worse and worse. A lot of my family members just decided to move when they started seeing these red flags. Since we already went through a lot in Guatemala, they just packed and they moved to another state. But I am here. I have strong friends and community. I love the school my kids go to, and I want to be part of the solution. I love Oregon. I don't think there is another state like Oregon. So thank you for doing this and continue doing it.
Thank you so much for sharing your story, and thank you for the support. I will pass that to our deputies. I love the fact that we have also our Daisy Santian is she's our Spanish speaking liaison for our community, and she would love to do the same presentation in any community or neighborhood that you would like us to. Please feel free to reach out to us. We also have the Latino Advisory Committee, which is a great support network, which also is there to help be an oversight for the sheriff's office. And there's other committees that community members can be on, as well as being on our volunteer services. And that's all on our main page of our website, which I can put on there for you guys too in just a second. There are ways to be involved. You can always reach out to me if you have questions or concerns, things like what happened with your neighbor. I'm sure Daisy or myself would be happy to come or do a virtual meeting or presentation just to talk about what do we do when those things happen, right? How do we, especially with our kids at home, we do teach a how to stay home safely presentation with TVFNR. We do that together. And we talk about fire safety when you're home cooking by yourself, as a maybe a 13-year-old. But what also happens if there is an intruder, or somebody that comes into our home? We do talk about those things. Another great program I know that we have that hopefully will be coming back soon. COVID makes it really tough for this one, but our Women's Power Curve is a self-defense class that we do teach usually a couple times a year. And you can sign up on our newsletter, and those are available. But Lydia, please definitely keep reaching out. Thank you for being here. Welcome to, for being in Oregon with, I'm a Pacific Northwesterner, so I love it. And I will pass on your story. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Lydia, also feel free to continue to reach out to the CPO too. We're here to help too, and we can certainly help mitigate any issues you guys have, and we'll reach out to whoever we need to get a hold of other people for you.
So much. I appreciate it. Thank you. I felt when I moved a long time ago, I felt the difference, so that's something that I want my daughter to continue having. I want her to be able to go to the park and don't be afraid. So let's continue doing this, and also spread the word about these meetings, because many people don't know. I just happened to come across this and I decided to come over, but many people don't know. So I will try to share to my community about these meetings. Thank you.
Thank you.
That would be great. Thank you for doing that. We're really trying to get the word out, and this is, our community is just much stronger. The more voices that we have here, sharing opinions and letting us know what you want to know about, I can invite anybody to come and speak. So, you can always email us. I'll put our email in the chat, and you can let us know what kinds of things you're interested in hearing about or talking about. And we can always put that on our meeting agenda. So thank you for doing that.
And for those of our Spanish-speaking community members too, Condado, Washington County, I believe it, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, do have our Washington County Sheriff's Office updates. The majority of them are also going to be on that primary county page if you have social media feeds on there. But a lot of our services are in both English and Spanish. And it's just really one of those things about trying for us too to help advance that and get that further and get that reach out there. I feel like too, it'll be so much more easy and wonderful when you can be in person and we can actually talk to each other face to face and see everybody. I definitely am looking forward to that point. I know many of us like Becky and Ken and I have never even met in person over the last 2 years. So I really look forward to that time too.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Cody. That was awesome. And for those of you who haven't seen it yet, you know, Cody put a lot of contact information in the chat. So go ahead and grab some information from there and you can email her or whatever you'd like to do there. So thank you for that. Also,
viewers can download the chat so they can pull that chat and save it to a file.
Yeah. And also, I did mention this really quick. This is being recorded and we do put our meetings on YouTube. So normally I'll take the link for the video and I'll put it up on our CPO6 Facebook page. And then you can just click it and it'll take you right to the recorded meeting where you can kind of review whatever you might have missed. Also, if you're not on Facebook, just email us at cpo6leaders@gmail.com and let me know that you want a copy of that and I'll send you the link. So either way, you know, you'll be able to access that recording. Really quickly, I'm just going to go through here really quick. Somebody asked, where can we get the handbook when it's available? Did you already cover that?
Yeah, we have a new one that we're working on. So hopefully in the next 3 to 6 months, it just depends on, you know, editing a large document takes a lot of time and we want to do it right. So the older one, I did put that in the chat. So that is on our neighborhood watch page. If you go to our main webpage and you go to, and this is the hard part too, because if I was in person, I could hopefully have copies for everyone, you know, that asked. I would have brought a stack to give to people if they're interested. Because virtual is not accessible for everybody and we're well aware of that. So if there's a need, let me know. I can always drop some off on somebody's doorstep, try and be COVID safe about it. Let me know. So I put that one on there. I also put the Washington County Sheriff's Office news link. And so that does, even if you don't have social media feeds, it has our social media feeds and our media releases. It also has all of our old newsletters. And you can sign up for the newsletters there, even if you just have an email. And that'll tell you when we're having our Kids Safety Academy or our neighborhood watch. We actually just did a internet safety presentation for parents at Becky's kids' school. And so there's different options for that as well.
Yeah, and that was great too. So
thank you.
Also, I was kind of busy doing something really quick. Did you talk about access to that map that you showed that was in the presentation? Did I miss that? Somebody's asking.
Yeah, did I see something about the time frame? Is that what it was?
Somebody said in the map of crime from the presentation, oh, what's the timeline for all the incidents? Did you already cover that?
No, so that's a 30-day window. So that one should be, in theory, should be like September 30th to October 30th, I believe. So it's usually a 1-month window. And we have those every month for CPO meetings in all of our CPOs. But you can also follow the crime map for active calls for service. And now keep in mind, these are calls for service. So that's not convicted crimes. And it also could have multiple calls for the same incident listed as well. So it's kind of a snapshot of how many phone calls came in through dispatch and what they're flagged as. So again, not necessarily convicted, but that is also accessible through City Map on our website. I can put that link in as well.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so moving on really quickly for for those of you who were here to learn more about the project on 190th, unfortunately, Mark, I think it's Mark Dane, didn't show up here, but he sent me this map. I'm going to share this really quick. Let's see. This is the map that he sent me that has, I think it's going to, he's thinking it's going to be 12 lots right here. I personally don't have really any information on this, but if you're interested, let me know. You can either email me at cpo6leaders@gmail.com and I can send you Mark's contact information and you can email him directly. I think that would probably be the best way to go. We may be able to try to get him back again next time. I'm not really sure what the timeline is for this, but I wanted you to be able to take a look at this map here of the lots. So
I can't even tell where it is. Where geographically is this?
yeah, so this is so tough. So it's 190th, and let me pop over. You can all see my email here. Oh, nope, that's the wrong email. Let me see, where is my 660 Southwest 90th, 12 lot subdivision.
All right, we can Google that and
Yeah.
map it or something. I was just curious.
So anyway, that was the map. And if you want any more information on that 660 Southwest 90th, 12 lot subdivision, this is, as you can all see right here on the screen, this is Mark's contact information. So let me put his email in here really quick. Mark Dane Planning at Gmail. Mark Dane Planning at gmail.com. And you can ask him about the one. Oh, if he comes back, will he be invited? You know what, Olivia, that's a really good question, because I don't have the information on when his deadline is. So yeah, he did try to, get in sooner, but we already were fully booked for last month's meeting. So we'll see what happens. That would be a good thing, I guess, to ask him, because yeah, I don't know his deadline. Do you have any other questions about that, on how to contact him or get that information or anything like that? Why doesn't the project show up as pending? Good question. I don't know the answer to that. I wish he were here. Oops, hang on a sec. I'm gonna stop sharing for a second here. I wish he were here to be able to present that. I'm really sorry for those of you who showed up for that and we didn't end up being able to get that on. Let's see. Who's the county agency for compliance with public discussion? Ken, do you know the answer to that? I mean, I would guess it would be what? Land use and transportation?
For compliance, yeah, that should be the land use department.
Yeah, I would guess land use and transportation on the Washington County website. You'll be able to find that.
Stephen Kelly is one of the contacts. He's a senior planner. In fact, I was just on a Zoom call with him yesterday. So Stephen Kelly, we can look his email address. I don't have it with me, but
yeah. Ken, do you think you could, can you see if you can get an email for them or something really quick? Are you able to do that while we're on the meeting, or email
yes,
us and we can send it out to you later?
Yeah,
So
I'll track her down right now for you.
how does this project fit into the R5 requirements for this area? Again, that is a great question. I wish I had the information for that. When it depends too on when this is going to happen, because the zoning is changing to the more community housing, like the larger housing things. So yeah, I don't see that he sent me any information on that. So you know what, if you all want to email me any questions that you have, what I can do is I can email Mark and get answers to those questions and email you back. If you don't want to email him directly, I'm happy to do that. So you can just send an email over to me. A couple more things. I just wanted to cover this really quick. You can keep, is this change in zoning countywide? Yes. So we had a meeting on this, was it 2 months ago? So I can send you again the link to that meeting, but it's a statewide change that's happening. And it is making it so that they can put those cluster housing or duplexes or fourplexes in places where they would only previously only allow the single family housing. So that is changing. I think in June of next year is when that will go into effect. And there's a lot of information on that on the Washington County website and stuff like that. If you Google it. To whom would we protest such zoning changes, which would certainly affect? That's okay. So that one is, I think, a done deal already. So I don't, and it's a statewide thing. So I think you would have to go to, I think that that's a bill that actually passed through the Oregon House. So the time for that was a while ago. Affect Lake Oswego. I believe Lake Oswego also, because it's statewide. So I think it affects everywhere in Oregon. Oh, we have a raised hand. Okay, Tom, let me get you real quick here. All right, go ahead and unmute, Tom, and you can go ahead.
Well, I'm kind of curious because, you know, Mark Dane was the reason I was here and to hear what he had to
Yeah.
say. But yet he isn't here. And why isn't he here? And because he is more than doubling the traffic on a dead end street at the very end of it. It's only less than 2 blocks long. And, you know, I mean, there's certainly some questions that are raised by his, you know, submission to build 12 homes at the end of a street, which more than doubles a 2-block street. That's all. I was just wondering why he wasn't here and why I've sat through all of this in order to hear his presentation, and he's not here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I emailed him too, like in the middle of our meeting. I emailed and just said, hey, you know, if you can show up, pop on anytime and I'll get you on. But I haven't gotten an email back or anything. So yeah, I apologize.
So will he
know
have to be
why.
on? I mean, will the requirements require him to be on at a later date?
So the requirements, as far as I know, are that he has to make some sort of a community presentation. It doesn't necessarily have to be at our meeting. It can be one that he does on his own. So this is, you know, just an easy venue for him to pop in and do it. But he could end up just setting up his own thing. But I mean, he has to advertise it. So if we find out anything about that, then I will certainly let you know.
Well, he was on the agenda. That's all I know. So he must have agreed to something to be on the agenda.
Yes, he emailed me and asked if he could be here to talk about that tonight. And so I went ahead and put him on the agenda, and yeah, he's just not here. So that is very unfortunate.
Typical developer.
So let me just check one more time and see if I've gotten anything. Checking my email. I haven't heard anything back since I emailed him just a little bit ago. So.
Okay, well, it's just sort of a concern in the neighborhood, I think.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
You know, because the amount of traffic that is going to pour into this whole 2-block street, it's going to more than double it, 2.5 times it really. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Those
Sorry.
Hey, Tom, whereabouts geographically is this?
Well, if you go by 185th heading towards Hillsborough, 190th is actually the first street to the right
Sure.
off of Farmington, which is 190th. It's real close to Prospect Park.
Okay.
Over
So
there.
It's closer to Farmington than TV Highway.
Oh, yeah. No, it's
Okay.
just, it's only our street is less than 1.5 blocks long. 190th there, and then it breaks. And then it resumes again off of Rosa, which is, we're basically behind the old Albertsons, which is now Safeway. And then there's an apartment complex. And then most of the houses on that side of the street back up to that apartment complex.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's right there. So anyway, I've talked to Mark Dane. I mean, it's not, you know, because I'm a next door neighbor to his project. So. Anyway, I was just curious to what he was going to say and so on and so forth. I mean, I am a concerned person because I am a neighbor.
Yeah.
And, it's certainly going to be disruptive putting in 12 houses and down on a dead end street. It's going to, you know, it's really going to affect a lot of people because that's a pretty big piece of property. And it's not only going to affect me in terms of his building project and all the people in this neighborhood, but it's going to affect all the people in 2 other neighborhoods on the other side of it. So,
Wow.
Do we
Yeah.
even know if it's gone through land use? I mean, has it gone through the land use and all that, you know, or that's why?
I don't, you know, I don't know.
Okay.
I really don't know. And,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I was just curious to ask him some of these questions. I mean, I've actually had him at my table speaking with him.
I put the link in the chat for, I mean, you can Google it and find it, but it's the Washington County Land Use Department. You probably should reach out to them and find out where the project is. Someone might know, hopefully.
Yeah,
where it's
hopefully.
at.
Yeah, and if any of you are on our Facebook page, I will follow up on this and I will post what I find out on our Facebook page. And also just send me an email and say, hey, I'm interested in finding out whatever, you know, whatever contacts or anything you found out about this project. And I will send you all the information that I find out about it. I'll try to get all these questions that you've asked in the chat answered, find out when the deadline is, how, you know, who you can talk to about it. I will try to find all that information and I can email it to you. I posted our CPO6 leaders at gmail.com. That comes to me and Ken, but also I posted my personal email there too. It's probably better to use the CPO6 leaders one, but just send us an email and I will follow up on this and get that back to you.
Okay, well, I don't do Facebook, so.
Okay, yeah, send me an email and then I'll email you back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do I have your email? Where's your email?
Yeah, so it's it's in the chat. I don't know if you can see it, but it's CPO6 leaders at gmail.com.
CPO6 leader at gmail.com.
Yeah,
Okay.
leaders with an S.
Leaders.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
plural.
Plural. Okay.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't do Facebook, you know, just email me and I'll send you, you know, links to the recording of this meeting and then whatever information I can find, because I understand a lot of people don't like to do Facebook. I wish that we could have a CPO like website, but it goes through the county, and so our website on the county we personally don't have any access to. So really our only venue to be able to communicate is through like something like Facebook.
Is that your email address was at Gmail, right?
At
Yes.
Gmail.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry about that, Tom. Wish we
Yeah.
could have had that for you.
Yeah. No problem.
All right.
Looks like Lyles.
Huh?
Lyles.
Oh yeah, Lyles. You can go ahead, Lyles.
Yeah, I'm on here. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, what I was going to point out to Tom and the neighbors is that a development application of this size will have a neighborhood meeting. And the neighborhood meeting, the neighbors will be noticed by a letter from the developer or from the county when to get together to talk about this project. And if you haven't had a neighborhood meeting yet, then you're still really early in the process. So Ken was going down the right street when he was saying, talk to land use and transportation. If you have any detailed questions about this, the neighbors can call Marcus, our CPO6 sponsor or coordinator, and ask him who to talk to, and he can certainly help you out. But there is, for a project like this, there is a neighborhood meeting that occurs where the developer gets together with the neighbors at some location and they learn about the project. And so unless anybody has any questions, that's all I have.
Yeah. Thank you. I
Okay,
appreciate
yeah.
it.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Lyles.
Lyles, we always appreciate your wisdom.
Becky, have you gotten a neighborhood meeting notice in your mailbox yet?
No.
No,
Tom, have
no.
you gotten a neighborhood meeting notice?
no, we haven't. We haven't gotten anything yet. We were
Okay,
just.
and if you
Well,
want to-
this was, they put up a poster on the property next to us that said he was gonna do a presentation at this CPO meeting tonight, so.
So he was going to use this as his neighborhood meeting.
Yeah, I think that was his intention.
I don't know that he can do that,
So there's
Ah.
a public.
but that's a question for the county.
Okay,
And
So
and
Tom-
Marcus, talk to Marcus, he'll get you to the right people.
okay.
Okay, in just a second, I'll put Marcus's email in there.
So real quick, Tom, you just said there was a public notice sign posted that just recently got posted?
Yeah, on the
Okay, so
property
that
that he's
means-
developing.
Yeah, that means it hasn't gone through any kind of determination at land use. So you're at a good stage right now to start inquiring what's going on there.
Also, the neighborhood meeting notice has to be mailed to the residents. You can't just put a sign on the property.
Okay,
Yes.
well, that's good to know. I mean, I'm not sure what the process is, so, but I'm finding it out slowly.
Well, I just pretty much described it to you, but you can confirm it and get more details from, call Marcus and he'll get you started.
Is he at Washington County?
Yeah. Marcus is our CPO contact, our CPO6 contact with the county. Now, I don't want to volunteer his time, but I am. With friends like me, he doesn't need enemies.
Oh, okay, hang on a second. I just got an email from Mark. So you guys continue to chat. I'm gonna go ahead and allow a couple more people who have their hands up to talk. And I'm just gonna trust you all to chat amongst yourselves for a moment while I go and read my email. And hopefully I'll have some information for you, so.
Okay,
Okay,
this is
does
Fran.
anybody-
Hi, Miles. This is Fran. I posted in the chat, Tom. There is a website at LUT. It took us a while to find us, my group, but it actually has a brochure that gives the entire process for they call it a pre-application conference, and then a neighborhood meeting, and then the application is submitted. And this land development process has a complete write-up of everything that's supposed to be done. And I think that you'll find that very useful in determining whether or not what the procedure's like. And it talks about different, like a 12-day appeal period and comment periods and all that stuff. So it gives you all those guidelines.
Fran, I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but Mark is with us now. So, okay, Mark, I'm gonna go ahead and promote you to a panelist. Let's see.
I'm gonna lower my hand for now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and Mark's got his hand up. Mark, let me try to promote you to a panelist here, and then if you need to share something, you can. Okay, so Mark's coming back in. So what we're gonna do is if you have questions, hopefully Mark will be able to see them in the chat. I don't know if he'll be able to scroll back up and see that. But if you want to get in line to raise some hands and ask some questions after Mark speaks, then you can go ahead and do that. And I am sorry if the meeting is going a little bit late. So are you there, Mark?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you. Great.
I've got my camera on too, I think. Am I able?
I don't see you, but
Hang
we
on.
can hear you.
I'm just trying to get my camera on here. See, unmute. I'm trying to find my video settings on here. I apologize. I coach soccer and I had a lost child.
Oh no.
So I mean, we found him, but he wandered off. I just,
Oh boy. I'm glad you found him. That would be scary.
Yeah, it was. And I apologize. I've been running like crazy. I want to be able to, can I share the screen, or is it?
You should be able to. Does it say that you're a panelist? I thought I tried to promote you, but it doesn't look like that happens.
I'm just trying to see.
Oh, he's up here. I think he is.
I am. I just can't see my video. Okay, I'm joining as a panelist.
There we go. Okay, so you should be able to share your screen once you're in as a panelist.
Okay, I'm just looking for where the share screen is on here.
It's in the middle of bottom.
Yeah.
I got chat and lower hand.
It's green. It's a
It
green.
should be changing.
Yeah, I have nothing here yet.
Are you getting a pop-up on your screen that says, would you like to be promoted to panelist?
Yes, join as panelist, and I click on that. But I mean, you should have the plan up there. That I sent you.
I have the picture. I have the picture that you
If you
sent.
want
So
to
I'll
just
go
put that
ahead and
up,
share that.
Yeah, if you want to put that up,
Okay.
that would be great.
Sure. Yeah, let me get back to that.
I can work with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to write names down so I can deal with the questions. And again, I apologize. Thank you for your patience.
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and share this.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Here we go. All right, can you see
Okay.
that?
Yep, that's great. Thank you.
All right, cool. So you are on. Go right ahead.
Okay, so good evening. My name is Mark Dane. I am purchasing and developing the property at the end of the cul-de-sac on 190th. The address of the property is 6060 Southwest 190th. There were recently 2 parcels for sale, this parcel and the house to the west. You can see the wedge shape. You can just see the edge of the house to the west over there. What we are proposing is to retain the existing house. You can see where the existing driveway is. That's shown with sort of a gravel portion. You can see where all the overhead wires connect to the house. What we will be doing is removing a portion of the west side of the house. That's with the extra thick shading on the west side of the house. And we'll be providing access to the existing house from the south side of lot 9. The road that's being proposed is a 26-foot road with a fire turnaround at the end. The reason it's being 26 feet is to allow for parking on the one side, and we'll probably put parking along the south and east lines of the property. You'll notice that there are a total of 9 lots. There'll be the existing house and 8 new lots. We are proposing a sidewalk along the north side as we come in from the bulb, and then on both sides once we are inside the property. We're proposing a 5-foot landscape strip along the south side adjacent to the existing house. There's an apartment complex directly southeast of the property, and the rest of the property is fully developed to the north and to the east. You can see tract A is the private street, and tract B is the water quality facility. We started initial discussions with a couple of different neighbors to look where to take the sanitary in the storm, because there is no sanitary directly adjacent to this property. There is sanitary to the south, to the north, and to the east. And we have a tentative agreement with the neighbors to the east, and we're going to be proceeding forward with that. We, after this neighborhood meeting, will be submitting an application to Washington County. The county then has 30 days to review it for completeness. We then provide the additional materials. At that time, we then respond, and then the 120-day clock starts. And then the county has 120 days to either approve or deny the decision. Usually they approve the decision because we work within the set of rules. The zoning here is R5, and the minimum average lot size can be 6,000 square feet. You can go smaller, but the average has to be that. All the lots are over 6,000. I've tried to design this to allow as many of the lots to have as wide a lot as possible, as opposed to thin, narrow lots. And our goal would be to try and start construction in the fall of 2022. And that would be for the infrastructure, not the houses. It would probably be another 9 months to a year before the houses went up. So that could be the end of 2022 or the beginning of 2023. With that, I would be happy to answer any and all questions.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go to Tom.
Okay, Tom.
Yep, go ahead, Tom. I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay, from is that YN has a question? What sort of houses are you planning for? is the question I see raised. That's from YN. We are looking to put probably a master on the main. As you know, there's a massive shortage of lots and there's a massive shortage of flat, large lots. And these days, these are considered large lots. It is probably, these will be 2, maybe 3 car garages, and there'll probably be 2,500 square feet on the main and maybe another 500-600 on the second floor. There won't be any 3-story ones. And I'm seeing there's a question from Olivia Williamson, how tall? I would imagine with 2 stories, there would probably be 23 feet if they were 2 stories and then a roof on top. Like I said, we're doing primarily looking to do a master on the main, but that would probably have a higher ceiling on the main, maybe 13 feet, and then have maybe a 412 pitch roof. The height limit here is 30 feet at the gutter line, and we will be well below that. We do not want to impose on the neighbors. We don't want to impose on the adjacent properties. Okay, this is from Fran. Sorry, I missed the question. I'm sorry. Is Fran's question gone?
Fran said the aerial view shows quite a few trees on these
Yes.
parcels. What are your plans regarding the significant natural resources?
Okay, so the goal here, so one of the first things is that this is not mapped as a significant natural resource under the Washington County Plan. However, I do believe that the trees add to the value of the property. And given the size of the lots, I would hope that in the rear 30 feet or so, we would be able to keep as many of the trees as we can. I always encourage that. And I will not be removing or doing any grading on the lots outside of what is required for the street. So you can see where the street's located. My goal is to do the minimal amount of grading and to try and leave as much of that as possible. Of course, once the homeowners own the property, they can do as they see fit. But usually everybody likes to keep a couple of trees in their backyard. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Are there any other questions?
So I see a question from Michael, but really quick, Tom,
Yeah.
did you have something that you wanted to say? You can unmute and ask your question. I don't think we were able to hear you earlier.
Let me unmute. There you go.
Oh, there we go. We can
Hi,
hear you now.
Tom.
Yeah, hi, Mark. No, I was curious about what the county was requiring you to do in terms of 190th and the amount of traffic you're putting on the street and what kind of improvements that they might be requiring, such as, you know, I mean, we've all got concerns about bicycles and sidewalks and children and all that kind of thing. And I was
Sure.
just, that was more of my question.
Sure.
Also, you're going to be removing most of the trees on the property in order to put in the road anyway. So whatever.
The road goes there, and I have to put the water quality in the lowest possible area, obviously. And I have the other option is to tear down the house, which I really don't want to do. I try to retain the homes on the developments I work with. So yeah, I mean, we may be able to wiggle the street around a little bit. But it won't be easy on the trees. But my goal, like I said, is just to put the road in, not grade out the site. To answer your question, we'll be providing the same sort of half street improvements as you've seen on some of the other developments up and down the street. One thing, if you are looking to do improvements up and down the street, we can put together a local improvement district where everybody sort of chips in for their frontage, if that's what you want. That's pretty much the only way to get the whole street fully improved, because there's a lot of what the county would call underdeveloped parcels along this. Usually, when you have that kind of thing, it's up to the property owner or the developer to improve that portion of street in front of them. In terms of trips, ODOT uses 10 trips per day per house. So in this case, we have 8 houses, which would add 80 trips every 24 hours. The question is whether this becomes a significant addition at the intersection, because the issue is always the intersection, and it becomes a significant change when the amount of traffic that's being added equals at least 10% of the underlying traffic. As you know, with Farmington, there's several thousand trips a day. I think it's about 20 to 25,000. And I know we are well below the requirement. So what we're doing is the Washington County requires us to do a traffic impact statement, and they are going to make their requirements known. We don't get to choose what we do. We do as we're told. And whatever Washington County requires of us, we do. And because it's an engineering standard, it's not appealable. We just have to do as we're told with the engineering. So however they tell us the road improvements, the sizing of the water, the sanitary, where the hydrant goes, all that stuff, we do as Washington County require of us. It makes it easy for everyone. So that's the goal.
Can I further ask you another question about 190th? Because that's my concern is 190th. It's not about who can turn left or right on Farmington and the amount of traffic and all that. It's my concern is the amount of traffic that you're going to, you're going to more than double the traffic on 190th, which is the dead end street, and your project is at the very end of the street. Now,
right.
I'm just, saying, it seems like that's a, terrible, you're increasing the burden on 190th dramatically, as well as, it's an unimproved street. And yes, there are sections of the street, very few though, that do have a sidewalk and
right.
so on and so forth. So I was just curious about what the county was requiring you to do as a developer in doubling the amount of traffic, if not 2.5 times the amount of traffic. I think 18 houses, the amount of cars, traffic in and out, and so on and so forth, the way they figure that what the requirements were for you to, protect the residents that are already established within here, this street, 190th, and especially in terms of, safety of, children's pets and so on and so forth with that amount of increase in traffic.
Sure. Well, first off, there are 24 houses fronting on 190th. We're adding 8. So it'll be a third. So
okay.
Get the numbers right. We will be doing what is required of us, which is to improve the frontage as we develop. And any one of the underdeveloped properties, of which there are several, will be required to do the same thing if they choose to partition their property. For example, the property to the south of us could add 3 lots. The parcel to the west of us could add 2 lots. And if they choose to do that, they will be required to improve their frontage. Given the fact that we are heading out to Highway 10, the one thing we will have to do is clear back the vegetation at the intersection to make sure there's an adequate vision triangle at the intersection. We may need to repaint it. We may need to replace or put up the stop sign. I can't remember. There is a stop sign at the end there, isn't there?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
okay,
but also, the other side of your question or your answer there is that your frontage, because you're entering in a very narrow, you're putting in a street that's going to go access 10 homes.
Yes.
Versus, I'm to the south of you, right? So,
yes.
and I have 200 feet of frontage on my piece of property.
Yes, you do.
Which you well know can only maybe take 3 more houses.
Right. So, on the other hand, you have access to a sewer, and I have to build 500 feet of sanitary sewer.
Yeah, well, that's
so
not
you
my
have.
problem. That's not my problem.
I'm not saying it's your problem. I'm not saying it's your problem, sir.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the circumstances of the property are that I have a small amount of frontage, but I have a large amount of off-site utilities that I need to construct. I agree, I do not have a lot of frontage, but I do have a lot of off-site for both sanitary and storm. For some reason, Washington County did not stub directly into this property. There you go.
Okay. I'm just.
So you're right. I don't have a lot of frontage. But on the other hand, I do have to put in a lot of offsite. And that, by the way, that can either
Yeah,
come
but
from-
you profit from that. I mean, and I don't begrudge you that. I'm not trying to begrudge you that.
I
I'm just
appreciate
asking
not begrudging
these
that.
questions because you and I sat down,
Yes,
on several occasions and
right.
so on and so forth, and talked about all of this.
Yes.
But I was just, these are my additional questions because
Sure.
the amount of traffic you're putting on there and what have you, that,
Absolutely.
what kind of improvements would be, required of you in terms of, that frontage and traffic and so on and so forth. So,
Okay.
I mean, I'm looking forward to all that building for that amount of time.
Okay. I'm sorry, there was a question from Olivia Williamson. Please clarify, each home has a garage and 1 or 2 cars. Okay, so each of the lots is intended to have off-street parking for 4 or 6 spaces, essentially for the people that live there and several guests as well. There will also be on-street parking. I calculated, I think it was 12 to 14 on-street parking spaces, as well as the 4 to 6 off-street spaces per lot. We are required to have, because we have 3 flag lots, so therefore that drops it down to 5. And because if you can provide more than 2 off-street spaces, it's half an on-street. So we are required to provide surprisingly 2.5 spaces. That's the standard for the 5 lots, but we're actually doing 2.5 times that. You can see there are some trees on the west. There aren't that many trees. There's a couple of trees around the edge. I will take a look at the trees along our south property line. We are putting a buffer there, but the question is always whether you want to balance the street parking versus the tree preservation. And whether, I mean, I could make it a 20-foot wide street, but then I would be reducing the on-street parking. And as has been mentioned, I don't have a lot of street frontage in the cul-de-sac. And the last thing I want to do is add a burden of parking onto the neighbor's property. I want to make sure I have way more than adequate parking on this property. Are there any further questions? Oh, by the way, I want to make sure everybody has my email. This form is difficult to ask questions. So I'm just going to read out my email. You probably have it on the letter, but even so, my email.
Yeah, we can put it in the chat also. So I'll go ahead and
Okay.
type it in the chat
So
while you're.
it's Mark Dane Planning, MARK DANE, planning @gmail.com, markdaneplanning@gmail.com. So that way everybody can ask me questions, or we can have a conversation about any and all of this. There was a question about this being a rural street up there. It's not a rural street per se, it is an under-improved street. There's a sanitary line and water line, and it's inside the urban growth boundary. It's an urban street, but it is, if you're required to improve in large 190th, will you abandon your ambitions here? Wahaha, you go, Tom. Okay, I don't know what that means. Sorry, just trying to read what the other questions we had. So this is an under-improved street, and as the properties develop along the frontage, people will have to improve their frontages as they go forward. And of course, if you don't, you don't. This street that is not, this is a street that is not maintained by Washington County. Is that what it meant by underdeveloped? No, an underdeveloped street means, an undeveloped street is essentially a gravel or dirt road. An underdeveloped street is a street that has some level of urban services. For example, there's a sanitary main in the street and there's a water line in the street. The sanitary main is extremely shallow by the time it gets to the end, but there is a sanitary main and a water line, and there is a paved surface out there. So it is underdeveloped. To be fully developed, it would have to have curb, gutter, sidewalk, planting strip, and would work, but that would work within the existing 50-foot right of way. And anybody that develops the property has to provide that frontage. And if you look about halfway down on the subdivision there, right, I think on the intersection of Prospect and 190th, if you look at that, you'll see the frontage improvements that were required there. That's the only really new development. I believe there was going to be a development at the house at 6165 Southwest 190th, but I'm not sure about that yet.
Mark, there's one other question here. When will the public meeting be posted and held?
So there probably won't be a public meeting because I'm processing this as a type 2 application. To go to be a type 3, you have to request a variance, i.e. you have to not comply with the standard. And I really try very hard to meet all the standards. So what that means is I'll submit the application, and once it's accepted as complete, then Washington County, who will have assigned a staff member, will then mail out to all the neighbors and provide a comment period that they can use to submit materials to, for example, if it's Paul Schaefer, and he will write up the staff report and then issue a decision. And then anybody who wishes to appeal that decision can do so. If that happens, then that will go to what they call a hearings officer, who is a land use attorney hired by Washington County, who will adjudicate that. If that decision is appealed, then it goes to LUBA. This is the Land Use Board of Appeal. After that, if that is appealed, then it's remanded back to the county, and after that, then it goes into civil suit. So that's the course of action. But my goal is to comply with all of the rules. I want this to go fairly smoothly, and I want to make sure that I meet all the standards.
Okay, do we have any other specific questions? Like if you want to have a conversation with Mark, you can go ahead and email him. I just don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to keep anybody too late, but if we have any other like really specific.
Thank you, Jeff, by the way. I appreciate it. Again, I wanted to clear so like if there's no development there, so obviously you won't have to do any improvements on your property. But as you can see, there are a number of lots that are oversized along the street that have the opportunity down the road if they so wish. Maybe it will never happen. Are there any further questions, please? So again, my name is Mark Dane. I've given you my email. We haven't submitted to the county, but I intend to do so shortly. If anybody has any questions, I encourage them to contact me, and I'll email and call you, and we can discuss everything further as we progress. Anybody that wants to be kept in the loop, I'm happy to do so. I'll be working with a civil engineer to design the project, and that's pretty much it, really. It's a fairly straightforward vanilla project. But I just finished up a project down in Canby, working with Westwood Homes down there, and that was a 10-lot subdivision, fairly similar to this project. So I can give people the information on that, and I can show them some of the other stuff that I've done if you are interested.
Great, thank you so much for being here, Mark, and sharing that.
Thank you. I wanted to make sure that I could get sort of your written notes at the end of this, just so we have a sort of an official record of this. I'm sure I will.
Yeah, and just so you know too, this meeting is recorded and it's going to be on YouTube. So absolutely. I'll send you a link once that's up there. I'll send you a link and via email.
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Great. Olivia's asking really quickly if you could give the address of your Canby project.
Yes, let me just pull that up in a second. I really like Canby. I actually used the ferry a couple of times when I was out there. I'm just making sure that it did a change. It's on the west side. Here we go. Okay, so it doesn't show up yet. It's at the intersection of North Redwood Street and North 17th. If you type in 1485 Northeast 17th, that's one of the homes. There's a number of homes here. They don't show up previously, but the old address was 1629 North Redwood Street. 1629 North Redwood Street. Most of the addresses now are off of 17th. It may not come up on Google Maps yet, but if you look on the Westwood home site, it will definitely come up. And again, you'll see there it's essentially it's a field with the house. And again, I retained the house on that project.
Great. Thanks so much, Mark.
Of course. Thank you so much for your time.
And hopefully everybody was able to get Mark's email there. Olivia's calling for a field trip to Canby. Okay, yeah, great. Thank you, Mark. I wanted to share a couple things really quick. If I know everybody's kind of dropping off here, but just for information, let me share these things. Here we go. All right, so this right here is for those of you who live in the area of Intel, where they're building their new warehouse. I just wanted to let you know that they're going to have another meeting here on Thursday, November 8th at 6 p.m. To talk about, for people to give opinions on what they're doing. So I will probably, again, if you want information on how to join this meeting, just email me since you can't click through on this link here. So if you want information on the Intel warehouse meeting, send me an email. I'll get that information out to you. Another thing I wanted to share with you is that normally at our meetings, we have Commissioner Fye with us, and she observes what we're doing in our meetings, but she's also available if anybody has questions. She wasn't able to make it this month, but she is normally here every month at our meetings. But she does have a town hall that is coming up also on the 18th at 6 p.m. at the same time as that other meeting. Again, if you want the link to that, email me. That's probably the easiest way for me to send it out. And then because we had a question earlier, I just, for those of you who don't know about the middle housing plan, there is a website here in Washington County website that has the information on what that is going to look like and how they're progressing, through that process, which again, I don't think goes into effect until June of 2020. But you can look it up. You can also look it up since it's statewide. You can look it up, middle housing. I think it's like House Bill, where is it? It's probably on here. House Bill 2001. So if you Google that, you'll be able to find a lot of information on it too. And then again, we have links to our past meetings where we had people from land use and transportation presenting on what this means and for our particular community. So if you have any questions or need any further information, again, just email me. And that's about all we have for today. Does anybody have any general questions? Oh, really quick, I wanted to let you know that we do have a Facebook page. I know that a lot of you aren't on Facebook, but we also are trying out starting a group as well. As just the page, because you can do a little bit more with that. So if you are on Facebook and you're not part of our actual group yet, feel free to go to our Facebook page and you can click through there to join the group. Ken, was there anything else?
Yeah, I was going to briefly talk about these roads that are going in our area.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
just a
great.
few minutes, and then I know Fran wanted to pop in for just a few minutes too. So
okay. Do you want to share? I can stop sharing here.
I'm going to share the screen.
Yep, there you go.
And let's see. Okay, so Washington County is proposing some changes for roads that are going up basically in the Coooper Mountain area. And I just wanted to bring this up to everybody's attention. One of them is, I'll just scroll down to the first one. A lot of people might be familiar with this one on the south side of Coooper Mountain going down towards the new high school. So they're going to propose to do a 175th Avenue curve alignment. They want to straighten it out to some extent. The original plan that the county was going to do was pretty much going to do a straight shot through all these people's houses, and the terrain there is quite rough. So their new proposal going to the Planning Commission is to soften this curve going this way. So that's the 175th plan. And the other one is actually has a lot of neighborhood opposition. This is they're proposing to do a 185th bypass going through these rural areas on the top of Coooper Mountain, intersecting Kemmer Road, and to kind of make a shortcut around this bypass for 190th. And the goal that they want to have, at least the county and the city of Beaverton, is they're planning future growth down here. So they're trying to disperse traffic. So the neighbors in this area are quite up in arms with not wanting this to happen. So if anyone has any comments on any of these, feel free to reach out to our CPO. The addresses are, let us know, and we can get that word to the Planning Commission on this one. And the last one real quick here is a grab horn realignment. This one sort of makes sense. From what I understand, this parcel here is owned by the Water Bureau, so there isn't a lot of opposition there on that. We haven't heard of anybody who has any real opposition to this straightening the curve here on Grabhorn. So again, if anyone has any comments, feel free to shoot it to us at CPO6. We have a meeting with the Planning Commission on the 17th of November, so we need to get comments in, positive or negative, before then. With that, I will turn it over to Fran Warren. Are you, you want to pop on there, Fran?
I just want to mention that I have not left CPO6 or Coooper Mountain. Those of you who may have good memories, I was part of the transportation planning and working hard on the around the mountain plan, and that is part of this 881 ordinances. The reason it's taking a while is that they actually have to pass ordinances to be able to get that around the mountain route approved. And that is one of the other changes that Ken didn't happen to mention, but that's in this package. So they are actually working on diverting traffic to a all-weather, safer all-weather route. The other piece is that I am following up on the significant natural resources and not protecting existing trees in Washington County. And I'm very concerned about the number of trees that might come down as a result of the developments in Coooper Mountain. So I have a website for the new group that I've started up, and I'll put it on the chat. And I'm encouraging people to join us to protect existing trees, because that's our immediate tool to fight climate change. There's a lot more to trees than just looking pretty. They fight climate changes. So I can make a presentation sometime in the future to give you some more information about what trees do for our county and for our homes. If anybody's interested, just let me know. Okay.
That would be good. And actually, Fran, if you want to plan that for the next meeting, that would be great.
Okay. More than happy.
Or whenever you're ready.
Yep, that's fine, because I go through the quantitative pieces, not just qualitative. things like soil erosion and things of that nature.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, my dogs are going to be barking as I say goodnight. Does anybody else have any questions or general questions? Thank you if you're joining us for the first time tonight. We love having everybody here. And again, we are here to represent you and your concerns. So if you have anything that you are interested in, that you want to learn more about, somebody that you'd like to have come and present, just email us and let us know, and we'll do what we can to get it on the meeting agenda. Great. All right. Thanks, everybody. I hope you have a good night and a good weekend.
Bye-bye.